I may have possibly just read the very best manga of all time, and it's a one-off. Of course, it's by the genius Tatsuki Fujimoto, who made Chainsaw Man and Look Back, but this one stands out to me as just so unique and just so inspired and just... I can't say enough good things about it. Today I am talking about Goodbye Eri. Let's talk about why it's good. So essentially the plot, I'm just going to give a quick rundown. Yuta, this kid, is given a smartphone in the beginning of this manga and then is found out right after from his mother that, you know, she's about to die soon from this terminal illness and she wants him to film her last moments. He does. She passes. You know, he's traumatized. He screens this film that he recorded with, you know, of his mother's last days and moments, and it's met with kind of like bad, it's kind of, no one likes it because he throws in an explosion of the hospital his mother's in at the end of the movie, which, you know, as someone who's worked on film from time to time, like I don't really know how he made that explosion really happen the way it does in the manga, but that aside, that doesn't matter. Him showing this movie then kind of ostracizes him from his school, and he just decides that he can't take it anymore, and he's gonna just, you know, give up on living. And as he's in the process of wanting to jump off of this the hospital roof that his mother died in, he meets this girl named Eri who really loved this film, and then they decide they're gonna make one that everybody will love and praise him for. So that's kind of the general plot. I think the thing that was really great about this just from the get was the style of the way the manga was conveyed. Everything was like kind of through the lens of the smartphone, but in kind of a weird, like almost like staticky home video kind of way in the manga panels. And it really immerses you kind of like right away. And aside from just the stylistic points, I think every character in this, from the dad, the mom, Yuta, and Eri, I think they are all very diverse and play a very different pivotal role in Yuta's life. And Yuta is a very interesting MC because you don't really see him throughout a giant portion of the manga because it's constantly through kind of his lens. You're looking at what he's looking at through this phone as he's filming it, and it kind of then is giving this almost commentary on what it's like to kind of be detached while you're living, because he's constantly only just watching things through this lens and he's not really taking in his emotions, especially with grieving, you know, the loss of his mother, and then later finds out that Eri also has a very similar terminal illness and is gonna die. So this kid just is like getting slammed emotionally left and right, and he has not figured out how to deal with that because he's just kind of spent the last few years just filming his life instead of kind of immersing himself and living it. Other than that, I think there is a cool kind of question of like the whole time you think something weird is kind of gonna happen, but it is very slice of life. As you know, if you've read Look Back, which is another amazing manga, it's very Tatsuki Fujimoto is just really good at immersing you in this weird kind of slice of life that you almost think something strange is gonna pop out of the blue at any moment, and then sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, and either way you're just kind of like, hey, I'm chill with that. Their style of manga and illustration I am just obsessed with. I've loved everything they've ever put out so far. I'm waiting for them to just make something bad so I can, you know, not say that anymore, but I don't know if that time's ever gonna come. Other than all of these things, I think also just there at one point they kind of reveal that Yuta's mom was actually kind of abusive, was kind of a meanie weenie bobini, and the dad is obviously dealing with a ton of grief also of his own, and it turns out that the mom wanted them to kind of like memorialize her in like a positive light. And it just gives this very weird, like, bad taste in your mouth to kind of like what Yuta's been going through, because this kid is just like getting used and getting put in these terrible situations, and like everybody around him's dying. So it's very sad and very immersive. And I think especially for a one-off, like this is I don't read a lot of one-off mangas that like truly just like grip me like just in a short amount of time, and also give you kind of a really good ending, which I'm not going to spoil what the ending is, but the ending is the perfect way, I think, to wrap up this manga. Now let's talk about why it bad. I really don't have much to say in regards to why I would think it's bad or why someone might not like it. Maybe, I guess, if I was really just like honing in on some things I didn't enjoy as much, I would say maybe I could have been okay with a little more of Yuta's character in the story. Because I feel like maybe I was supposed to feel like a bigger emotional attachment to Yuta, especially as he got older, but it's kind of hard when it's through just the perspective of looking at what they're seeing instead of kind of seeing them going through it, because most of the panels you see Yuta from are just very, very brief, and you don't get a lot of time spent watching them. It's just seeing through their eyes, which I think, again, is kind of the stylistic choice, and it was perfectly executed. So that's just, if I had to pick anything, I think maybe even just a few more panels I would have been totally happy with, because I really did like, the idea of Yuta as a main character. Just simply because obviously, like, this guy was just put in such a tough situation from such early age, and then just kind of kept getting the hard balls throughout life. So that's really all I could do. Maybe also when he gets a little older in the story, right before the ending, it feels just a tad bit like oh, all this stuff happened. Okay, let's move on by. It just kind of felt just a dash bit rushed at the very, very end before the ending. And so yeah, that's only if I had to be super, super hypercritical. But other than that, I really don't have much that I had a problem with. So what are my final thoughts on Goodbye Eri? I think this is one of the, if not the very best manga one-off that I've ever read. It is very, very well done, wrapped up super well, starts super well. Everything keeps you engaged. The illustrations are phenomenal. The writing is really good. There is a good heartstring attachment and interesting characters. And I think overall, my favorite part is kind of just at one point, someone comes up and talks about Eri and Yuta's friendship, and they're like, oh, no one really liked them except us, right? And I think this whole thing is about a matter of perspective on life, on people, on relationships, and that it's always going to be different from person to person, and that you don't always just have to buy into what absolutely everybody says about like one person or what someone says about, X person, X thing. Just like make your own decision, spend time with those things, you decide for yourself. And perspective, again, is just extremely, extremely important. If I were to recommend this to like anyone, I don't think there's anyone I wouldn't recommend it to. I also think this, like, if you haven't read a lot of manga, I think this would be kind of a good way, probably not the very first manga I'd say to read, but I think this is a pretty easily digestible manga to get into that just kind of also feels like a drama or a thriller a little bit. So I think it's super accessible to most people, even if you just like reading or comics or anything like that. If I had to rate it, I'm giving it a solid like 9.5 out of 10. Was just simply amazing. Like I said, Tatsuki Fujimoto, like I someday I might dislike something they put out, but I have yet to see that day, so I don't know if it's gonna come. And other than that, until I find something else good to read, I'll see you around. That's the end of the video. Okay, I appreciate you for watching.
Bye now. Bye.